You know, it's becoming more and more blatant that Republicans do not want people of color to vote. We can see across the country, I believe it's 26 states that have enacted or attempted to enact restrictive voting laws that will limit or reduce the amount of minorities, young people, and older people as far as their ability to vote. That also includes working people when they shut down early voting and they limit the number of hours that polls are going to be open, and they restrict or get rid of same-day voting. The majority, if not all of this, is being done in Republican-controlled legislatures. In this particular case, in Virginia, although the legislature is controlled by Republicans by one vote, the governor is a Democrat, and he has just issued an executive order that reinstates the rights of convicted felons who have served all of their time and done everything that they needed to do in order to re-enter society. He has just signed an order that will allow them to vote again. You would think that the legislature would support this, but in fact, they are fighting the governor on this, and they are considering suing the governor, knowing full well that within the Virginia Constitution, the governor has full authority to reinstate the civil rights, of which voting is one, to any citizen that he chooses to. They are going to, if they file a lawsuit, fight this on a very, very narrow premise that the governor must name each individual specifically instead of issuing a blanket executive order. I don't think that's going to fly, but again, you know, you've had some funny decisions from federal judges recently.
With that kind of pressure.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, let's go to Virginia, where Republican lawmakers are planning to sue Governor Terry McAuliffe because he overturned a 150-year-old law giving more than 200,000 ex-felons in the state of Virginia the right to vote. Governor McAuliffe says he has the legal and the moral authority to take action and argues that according to the Virginia Constitution, quote, the governor shall have power to remove political disabilities consequent upon conviction, unquote. According to the Department of Elections, they've already seen an impact from the governor's order with nearly 2,100 newly registered voters. Joining us on FaceTime is Virginia Democratic State Senator Mamie Locke. Mamie, what's interesting about this is here are individuals who serve their penalty. Why do you believe Republican colleagues still want to demand that these folks not have the right to vote?
Because there are individuals here in this state who believe that folks who have served their time, paid all of their fines, and have done everything that they've had to do, still have to be penalized. It doesn't matter that they've done everything statutorily that they have to do in order to be restituted. It doesn't matter. They still need to be penalized, and citizens still have to pay their debts, even though they've paid their debts to society. It doesn't matter. They must forever pay and be disenfranchised.
Now, Sarah Locke, Republicans are saying that the lawsuit is not specific to the issue of felon voting rights. They say that the governor is simply overstepping his authority.
That is totally incorrect. The governor has the absolute authority under the Constitution to restore civil rights to Virginians, and that's expressly provided in the Virginia Constitution.
I want to go to our panel here. This is the problem that I have, and that is, if you're talking about the right to vote, which is fundamental, don't understand why, and we see this in Virginia. We've seen it in Florida. We saw where where other governors, Republican governors, come in and roll back a previous governor. Rhonda, I don't understand if somebody went to prison, served their time, paid their debt, they're out. What is the problem with allowing them to vote? How can we keep saying we want you to be reintroduced into society? We don't want you to go back, but then you don't ban the box. You can't get a job. You can't vote. You're stripping away what it means to be a free person.
Right. Well, there's no question this is political overtones, and particularly in the state of Virginia, the assumption is that these former felons will somehow all vote Democrat. And maybe the Republican Party ought to look at that and think somewhat differently on that. But I think their objection, as I understand it, is not that necessarily constitutional, that the governor, certainly on the state's rights, has the ability to do that, but he has to do it one by naming the felons, not blanketly signing something and giving 2,100 felons restoration of their right to vote. I believe that is the objection.
Senator Locke, I want you to respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue is that in 2008, African Americans turned out overwhelmingly, and Virginia, for the first time since 1964, voted for a Democrat. There were efforts in this state between that time and 2012 to come up with every manner to disenfranchise voters by enacting voter ID laws. That didn't work. In 2012, Virginia once again voted democratically. So there's this feeling that somehow, if we tried, since the governor did this, that somehow this state is once again going to vote for a Democrat for president of the United States. So that is the fear, that somehow these 206,000 individuals are going to vote for a Democrat. We do not have voters in this country flocking to the polls. The United States has a low voter turnout rate. You would think that you would want individuals voting in this country. Somehow Republicans don't want that. We don't want to try to remove barriers from voting. And Republicans try to find every kind of way to enact or erect barriers to voting.
Michelle.
You know, I agree with her. And the whole Republican argument, in a sense, to me, is pretext for exactly what we're talking about. How to keep people who they believe the demographics show are going to vote vote for a Democrat. We have seen the Supreme Court strike down a critical part of the Voting Rights Act, again, disenfranchising large numbers of African Americans and Latinos and other people who people suspect based on demographics vote Democratic. We have seen what people call a poll test, meaning if you have to stand in line for 7 or 8 hours to vote, it is a poll tax that only the rich can afford. It is one thing after another to disenfranchise people who will not vote for the Republican Party, and it is unconstitutional.
I think we either have to look at sentencing laws and say that people aren't serving enough time, but when your time is served, you are an American citizen.
Yes.
And I think, unlike what Rhonda said, I think the governor has every right to blanketly say everybody who's out of jail gets to vote. He can sign something, 2,100 people, 21,000 people.
1 million.
1 million people that we said you're going to serve 10 years. You serve 10 years. When you come home, you vote.
But here's the deal, Rhonda, and this is why I think Republicans make a mistake. If Republicans in Virginia came out and said, we believe these formerly incarcerated deserve to have their right to vote, but, Mr. Governor, we believe that your actions are wrong. They haven't done that. What they've done is they've sort of said, well, we'll look at it, we'll see, and that's the problem. And then when you put on top of that, in other states, how Republicans have opposed giving the right to vote to formerly incarcerated, then that's what exacerbates the problem for Republicans.
Here's the thing now. Previous Democratic governors of Virginia, including Governor Tim Kaine, his attorney general, his legal counsel looked at this and said exactly what I'm saying, which is we can't blanketly do this. You have to name each felon and give them back their right to vote.
But why?
You know, well, ask the Democrats.
But here's the deal, though. good to go. No. That was the perspective of that attorney general.
Yes.
No. Hold on. No.
But that was
that's irrelevant.
That was then.
Because, as we know in many other cases, one attorney general, Senator Locke, can look at an issue, and another attorney general, regardless if they're a Democrat, can look at it a different way.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the foremost legal expert on the Virginia Constitution has said that the governor is within his authority to do what he has done. And he is solely within his authority to do this either individually or as he just did 2
Let's
weeks
see what the
ago.
court says.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Sarah Locke, we certainly appreciate you joining us. But again, this is a prime example of what I keep trying to explain to Republicans. You are not going to be able to get the vote of black people and others when you continue to block access to the ballot. And again, if Republicans in Virginia said, we believe that formerly incarcerated should get their right to vote, but Mr. Governor, you're wrong, people will say, okay, but when they don't do that, when they don't say it, it simply gives the same impression, oh, all you want to do is try to clear the deck. Right. And so this is another example of voter suppression, and that's the problem for the GOP, and that's why, because guess what? America ain't turning whiter. I'm just letting you know.
All right, so this is, I guess it's going to go up to the federal court and then make its way to the Court of Appeals, which is not the ninth. That's not the ninth. I believe it might be the 8th district. And then that district has a history, though, of siding on the side for civil rights for individuals. So once it clears that, if they don't get a 9th Supreme Court justice in, that will mean that as long as McAuliffe or a Democrat is in office in Virginia, the felons who have served their time will have the right to vote. See, the only danger there is you need to flip the legislature in Virginia so that they can actually draft a law that will reinstate convicted felons' right to vote, because every time you have a change in party in the governor's office, they're going to reverse that executive order. So you're going to be flipping back and forth. And just because you were granted the right to vote by one governor, that right, once a new governor of a different party comes in, Republican obviously, that right can be stripped away from you, again, by executive order. So they need to flip, number one, flip the legislature, get a Democratic legislature in, then draft a law, have the law signed off, and then they will pretty much hopefully put this to bed, because it will be kind of stupid for a future legislature to come in to try to strip away the right to vote. That would just be too blatant.